Jason,
Hi,
welcome
Alan.
to the program. I'm really happy you could join us because
Thank you.
when I knew we were going to do another walk-in conference and I had interviewed you and you had such uh, a unique walk-in experience. I mean, in a way, it's like, so I wouldn't even say it's a walk-in experience. Well, you'll explain it because it's
Yes.
so multifaceted that I was just really happy you could join us on this conference because you hold another piece of the puzzle that I think is unique, but also will help open up other people to this bigger awareness that they may be holding too. So thank you. Anything else you want me to say about you?
I'm good looking. How about that?
Sure. Are you looking for a date? Are you walking to a date for tonight or something
There
like
you
that?
go. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I appreciate the kind introduction, Alan. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm really happy you're joining us, and I know you're. Are you still based in Sedona?
No, I'm actually in Orlando, Florida now. I just
Oh, there
moved.
you go.
So,
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Jason Addison Ames, ladies and gentlemen, has a fantastic understanding of the levels of walk-in reality. So it's another piece in the puzzle. Go ahead. It's all yours, Jason.
thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. Well, hi everybody. Thanks for watching this part of this conference. Really appreciate you tuning in. And I have to say a big thank you to Sheila and to Alan and all the other organizers of this walk-in conference. I think this is a very pivotal time for walk-ins and also for the human kingdom, as I call it, because there are, as the guides who I channel, and I'll talk more about who the guides are in a second. The guides say that what humanity and Earth is experiencing right now is a pelting. Imagine kind of like pebbles coming down on Earth, like a meteorite shower, pelting the Earth with higher vibrational or very high vibrational beings manifest in form. Much like a period of time about 2,000 to 2,500 years ago, when many great teachers, high vibrational beings, were manifest into form, like Buddha and Yeshua and many others, is that after this 2,000-year period, that's starting again. And one of the ways that that is achieved is by and through walk-ins. And this is something that really, as I have been taught, wasn't possible in the past, at least in the expanded way that it is now, due to the density of what humanity in the world has been in. But as frequency amplitude continues to rise at a very quick pace, this is allowed, it's possible on a more expanded way, in a more expanded way, and also with many, many more high vibrational beings coming in. So the volume has grown quite a bit. So this walk-in conference, I think, the guides who I channel again have said that this is kind of a kickoff of a new understanding within kind of the mass consciousness about walk-ins, what they are, who they are, and what they're here to do. So again, thank you to Sheila and Alan for having me on and for really moving this whole idea forward in the collective consciousness. So, I really went back and forth about how to present my story. Should I do a PowerPoint presentation? Should I just talk? And if I talk, in what order do I present the story? So it finally landed on a very simple talk, no PowerPoint. And then I'm going to talk you through chronologically, really kind of through my life and explain key points. And then I may at the end go back and go a little bit deeper in some of those components to provide more light on it. I think this is going to be the most efficient way to present my story. So my name is Jason Addison Ames. I actually go more and more by my middle name. People know me by both Jason and Addison, but I'm going more and more by my middle name. It just kind of is sticking right now. So I live in Orlando, Florida, and I just moved here from Sedona, and I'll talk about that whole geographic change. But I am from Atlanta, Georgia originally, and grew up as a very highly sensitive child, like probably everybody watching this program. Highly sensitive. I really kind of compare myself many times to the movie The Sixth Sense with Haley Joel Osment. Wide-eyed, almost kind of frightening-looking child in a way. The child looks through you instead of looks at you, and just kind of knows things and sees things. That's the way I was as a little child, as a young boy growing up. Was always interested in spirituality. I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian home, and even in that dogmatic state, I was always amazed by things like communion, the Holy Spirit, the Holy of Holies, angels, all these kinds of things. Kind of the more esoteric part of all of it, as opposed to the rule-driven component of it. And I love the socialization of it. I love the interaction with other people who, at least in some way, shape, or form, cared about the spiritual perspectives of life. As a young boy, I could see things, see different kinds of beings. I wasn't really sure what they were. I was talking to unseen beings. I really don't even remember what they were at this point in time, but I had, invisible friends and all that kind of thing. Was very connected to nature, to animals, and just kind of a strange child if you look at it through the eyes of normalcy, and just again plugged in with the unseen components of life. Since I was probably 4, I knew that I was a gay person. I liked other men, and I remember as a young person going to the altar of the church, which, for those of you that don't know that, it was, if you had serious needs that you really wanted to bring to God to deliver, you would walk down to the altar, the front part of the church, kneel down and say, God, please help me. And so I would go to the altar and say, God, I have these feelings, but it sounds like from everything I hear that I'm going to hell. So I'd rather not go. Can you take it away from me, please? And would do that over and over again, and it never went away. I went on to grow up in Christian school and then go on to Christian college, actually. I majored in music and decided I wanted to be a minister of music in a church, a Christian church. So I graduated from college, and my first job was as a minister of music in a church in Atlanta, Georgia. And all this whole time, I knew I was gay, but really suppressed it and really focused on, the different ways that you try to stuff that down, turn that off. I was sent to Project Exodus. Some of you may be familiar with that. That's where Christians. It's a camp, basically a program where Christian parents send kids to get the gay taken out of them. Again, that didn't work, but really tried to get that out. But then, but really, it's core to who I am and my personality. So I go to, I see someone saying, yeah, they try to fix you. It really doesn't work. If anything, it's more of like abuse, social, emotional, spiritual abuse. But I survived. And so I went on to be a minister of music, pretty big church, and I really tried to, I continue to push that down and deny it, but it kept getting kind of more prominent. And I began to say, okay, I've got to be who I am. I've got to live in truth, and I can't get up in front of thousands of people and lie to them. I'm not going to do that. I had been lying to myself, but now if I were to, it ends up really being lying to them too. So I resigned from the church, and about that time, I ended up going to a model open casting call and got picked up by a couple of modeling agencies in New York City. So I left where I was in Atlanta and moved to New York City, worked in modeling for a while. And thank you for the comment that someone made. Perfect as I am. I know that now, and thanks for saying that. Moved to New York City, worked as a model for a while, which was a lot of fun. and then kind of fell into marketing. And I worked in marketing, ended up being for about 20 years. And so, that was my career, that was my life. And I really said goodbye to spirituality. I said goodbye to God. I said goodbye to all that kind of stuff because I've really been hurt for all of my childhood and the Project Exodus thing and kind of lying to myself. It really left a sour taste in my mouth about anything spiritual. So I said, okay, I'm in New York City. I'm going to live the New York City life. For work, I was traveling all across Europe on a regular basis, making a lot of money, having a lot of fun. So I did that for a long time. Again, really denying anything spiritual, anything unseen, living in the physical world 100%. Ended up moving to San Francisco, worked for Electronic Arts, the world's largest video game company, and then ended up going to Orlando, Florida, working for a venture capital firm there in marketing as well. So this long career in marketing, and I would say from about 2010 to 2018 or 19, let's say, even though I was living this life, I slowly and surely became an alcoholic and experienced a lot of really dark times and a lot of loss throughout all of this kind of career that I was building or trying to build. And so it was about a 10-year period of, some people use the term dark night of the soul. And I'm not a big fan of that term, but it was definitely a time of learning through loss. I lost jobs. I lost houses, cars. I lost all kinds of stuff, lots of money I lost, friends, family members, lots of pain. And then starting in 2012, I began to have some really bizarre spiritual experiences. And these lasted from 2012 till 2019, let's say. And I'm getting to the walk-in stuff soon. This is all the setup for it. Hang with me. So starting in 2012, I began to have these encounters with teams of what I will say are dark beings. And they were beings that were really trying to kill me, trying to keep me from moving forward, scared the goodness out of me, scared all kinds of stuff out of me, very frightening. And they would come in teams of usually 5 to 7. And they would come on a regular basis or semi-regular basis from 2012 to 2019. And I would hear them, see them, feel them, touch them, and have conversations with them. And these are highly intelligent beings that kind of know everything. They live outside of linear space and time. And it was kind of interlaced with a lot of the alcoholism, but this never happened when I was drunk or hungover or anything like that. It always happened when I was fully sober. And should I answer these questions, Alan? Well, I guess I should. Yes, I could smell them. They would even produce liquid. I don't know exactly how, and I can feel the liquid being dropped on me. So it was like they were in. I don't think they were plasma. Someone is asking. They were. I could feel their form, almost like they were invisible, like an actual being but invisible. And yeah, that's actually a good way to say it. I've never said it that way. They were everything that like a physical person could do, but they were just, you couldn't really see them. I could kind of make out like edges of them sometimes. And but they worked as teams, and they came to me each time with like plans, with like, here's what we're going to do to you. And they were all things that were kind of like torturing, and they had each time they came, there was a plan to kill me. So you could imagine that was very frightening for someone. For me, in this case, I was living alone at the time. Someone said in a different frequency, but in the same physical space. I think that's probably the most accurate description. So thank you for that. Um, the, um, someone's asking, what did they want to tell you? What did they want? Great question. So the way I look back on it now, I see it really as kind of training for what I do now, ultimately, because I was really communicating with them mostly telepathically and got really good at telepathic communication throughout all of those, from 2012 to 2019, all of those episodes, which happened many times during that time frame. So they would tell me, they really got me to work on getting to a place of truth about myself and learning to not lie to myself or lie to other people. I would say that's one thing that they taught me. But their main goal each time was to torture me and to kill me. And they made it very clear. And like one of the ways they were going to kill me was to drown me. And they told me, I won't go into all the details of it, but they told me the plan of how they were going to do it. I was living in a condo with a pool right outside my window right there. So it seemed like a really easy thing for them to do. And their plan sounded really good. And again, I'm sober. I'm like clear-headed, but, scared out of my mind. And so each time in each of these episodes, it worked out that I was able to escape or somehow not be killed. And so looking back on it all, I feel like at some higher level, they were all staged events to get me ready for this walk-in and then for the work that I do now, which we'll get to. Kind of like, some of those TV shows, where they try to scare you, and get you to do stuff. It was almost like that. So let me kind of keep going here, just in the interest of time. So in 2019, I had stopped drinking. So I'd been clean and sober for a while, a couple of years maybe at that point in time, or a year or so at that point in time. And I had another one of these episodes with these beings that came. And I was like really at a breaking point. I was like, this is enough. I can't do this anymore. And so I very dramatically called, out of just desperation, God, angels, ascended masters, everybody that I could think of, please come and help me. I'm ready to leave the pain of the past behind. I'm ready to leave all of this. Yeah, somebody said they were actually teachers. That's the way I see them. I see them as teachers. I don't really know what they were. Like if you would say, were they demons? Were they this? Were they that? I don't know. I don't think they were angels. I think they were lower vibrational beings, but I think they were kind of in service of like the plan for my life, if that makes sense to you. So I see them as really profound teachers. I tell you, they got my attention. So I really kind of in my home in Orlando, got on the floor of the kitchen. I'm screaming, I'm crying, I'm like crying to God, come help me. I can't do this anymore. And so I really felt, and I probably don't get emotional here, I really felt the presence of higher dimensional beings in a very extraordinary way for the first time that I'm aware of, at least. And yeah, someone said about attracted them because of the lower vibration of the alcohol, for sure. And I've learned, as probably many of you know, that drugs and alcohol can lower your vibration and make you susceptible to entities and other kinds of things. So I think that's definitely part of it. But I do feel like it's part of the overall kind of plan for my life. I mean, obviously, I think everything that's part of someone's life is part of their plan. But I think, more acutely, like a strategy to get me to where I am now. So I felt the presence of these higher dimensional beings, and angelics and ascended masters specifically. I could feel literally the rush of wind, the rush of wings. It was really extraordinary, and the whole vibration of my home changed. And I began to telepathically talk with them, and specifically Archangel Michael and some others as well. And they began to tell me what to do to kind of battle or overcome these entities. And so I did what they said, and it got better and better and better. And the entities kind of faded away and they left. And so then, kind of like, there's these angels and ascended masters kind of present in my life. And then kind of the weird stuff continued, but it was like I was interacting with higher vibrational beings instead of the lower vibrational beings, and it became very tactile, if you will. And so this was kind of the beginning of the walk-in experience. So I began to have these periods of time where I would feel like one time I came home from work and I had just come in the house, I was in the kitchen, and I thought that I was literally in a tractor beam of an alien ship above the house that was going to pull me through the roof of the house. I felt like I was being lifted up off the floor. So I had to hold on to the cabinetry of the kitchen and kind of guide myself over to a kitchen table and slide underneath it to hold myself down. I Skyped a dear friend of mine who's a really great spiritual teacher in Brazil. And I said, what's going on? Is some kind of fifth dimensional thing happening? Because I feel like I'm going to fly through the roof of the house, and I'm being dead serious. This is like nothing I've ever felt before. And so he's ended up staying up the whole night with me that night, because all kinds of like things like that were happening. And so just to kind of give you a sense of what's happening now is what I've come to understand is this was part of many contributing events of the walk-in. Like the walk-in didn't happen on Tuesday night and Wednesday I'm done. I'm walked in. It's happened kind of with download periods, if you will, over a period of time. And then kind of between those major download times, there's been small downloads. So I would have periods of time like that where I was really in an altered state, and my physical body was responding to high vibrational energy coming into its field and into its form. And I didn't know anything about walk-ins at this point in time. I had no clue. So I just thought all kinds of weird stuff was happening to me. But what then began to happen is my thoughts began to change. And I knew telepathy pretty well by this point in time. So I would be getting these new thoughts. Someone is saying like a time release merge. I don't know. I'm not sure what a time release merge is. I would say it was definitely a merging of energies of the new consciousness that is me into my field and form. Oh, I see what you're saying. A time release merge. Yes, yeah, I like that. That's really good. Like a time release merge. Thank you for that. So so I begin to have those episodes, and again, not knowing what's going on, but my thoughts begin to change. And these weren't telepathic communications. I would be laying in bed, and my thoughts would literally be of higher vibrational things, of love, life, and light. And I'd be laying there. It happened, first started happening like when I'd be getting ready for bed or lay in bed waiting to fall asleep. And I'd be like, what am I thinking? Because I'm not thinking that, but I'm thinking that. And so that was the start of the walk-in, let's just call it that for right now, really becoming as me and thinking through me, which now happens all the time. I have kind of like my thoughts and their thoughts. Sometimes they're one, sometimes they're somewhat separate. More and more it's their thoughts. And so, yeah, this time release merge concept is really interesting because, you know, even it's continuing today. Like it hasn't stopped. It continues to get deeper and deeper and expand more and more. So I don't know if others have had that experience too or not, but I would imagine it's a methodology that is used sometimes. Okay, so yeah, someone's saying it's very familiar. Yeah, so it's common. And please, everyone, keep in mind that I'm really relatively new to this walk-in concept. I only learned about walk-ins in 2019 peripherally, or 2020 even, and then I only was informed that I was a walk-in in early 2021. So I'm kind of like a walk-in baby, I guess you could say. So my thoughts were kind of taken over, and then I was out one morning for a walk, and at this point in time, I had begun to have active conversations with all of these high dimensional beings, and I really didn't know who some of them were, but like the information that was coming through was making me cry a lot. There was so much crying. I mean, I still cry every day, sometimes multiple times a day, but actually most times multiple times a day. But I would say that first year, I cried just tons and tons, which was all release, of the old, really, which I think had to be done, kind of like a cleansing in a way. And so I was out for a walk early one morning, early, like 5 a.m. And I was because I kept having these conversations with the higher dimensional beings, with angels, guides, which now I would say are ascended masters and above. And my body started to move on its own. And I was like, holy, I don't know what is going on here. Walking, and I'm thinking I'm going to go this way, and my body takes itself and it goes that way. And that probably was one of the most amazing mornings of my life. And so it's that idea of the walk-in, let's say, thinking through me and then moving through me, has continued with velocity and increased to and through today. And I imagine, and I'm told, it's going to increase more and more. So now, just to flash forward to now, about that concept of them moving through my body, I would say about 80% of each day consists of the walk-in moving through me, and 20% of me moving my body myself. So, that 20% is consisted of like going to the bathroom, taking a shower, kind of like the basic stuff. But to say that I'm guided is an understatement. And I'm sure that that is a common theme among walk-ins. I know some of the walk-ins that I know, it is a common theme. So, all right, so they begin to walk or move through my body. And all this time I'm getting this telepathic communication, which is wonderful. They're telling me kind of like how things work, how you work, explaining love to me, explaining just beautiful, beautiful things to me. And my life is improving. Like I see myself becoming a lighter person. There's lots of release going on, like the crying I talked about. They guided me to go and get Reiki. And they guided me to a Reiki master in Orlando, who's still a wonderful friend of mine. And the first Reiki session that I went to with her was life-changing. And I continued to get Reiki from her for about 6 months, once or twice a week. I had a lot of stuff that really needed to get out of me in order to be in a release state, in field and form to do what they wanted me to do. So that first session, the Reiki master was at my head. She was there for sure. And I had hands all over my body, rush of wind in the room. It was an extraordinarily powerful experience that I'll never forget. And I continued to have experiences like that in each Reiki session in some way, shape, or form. Lots of crying, again, and laughter too, like kind of like laughing in the spirit. Some people may know that, just like tons of laughter, which is a release too. So lots of release of old energies to kind of clean up the vessel. And so so then I was guided by the guidance to get a subscription to Gaia television. And so I kind of didn't want to get one at first because I thought it was a little bit too off the deep end, but I finally broke down and did it. And so they wanted me to start watching a series on channeling. It was called Interviews with EDs, Extra Dimensionals, with a gentleman named Ruben. I forget his last name. I'm sure many of you know Ruben. And so I watched a little bit of one episode and I thought it was too weird and I turned it off and I was like, I don't know if I want Ruben Langdon. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Leanne. So so I thought it was too weird and I turned it off and left it alone for a while. And then finally they kind of said, okay, just watch it. Just watch it. It's going to be okay. And so I started watching it and I kind of got into it. And then I was kind of watching a few episodes together all at once. And between episodes, I started channeling. And so that was Metatron and came through. So I think some other people had the same experience. So it really helped to create the openness for me to start channeling, and that's is a big part of what I do now, which we'll get to in a few moments. But so then kind of the walk-in is moving through me, thinking through me, talking through me, and really just starting to take over my whole life. And so a way that I look at it is it's like a life takeover. At one point in time, I thought, because I had gone through all this other stuff before, kind of with the darker things, is I thought, is this like another form of possession? Am I possessed? And I would really check in to make sure that these beings, let me be very clear, throughout this whole experience, even now, I'm always verifying that all the information I receive is highest and best order, highest and best for me and everybody that I work with, because I came through all of that. And, it seems a little bit like possession. In a way, kind of what it is. So, it was like total life takeover. And so they guided me to leave marketing and start kind of a spiritually focused enterprise that I call Wave Foundation, WAVVE, two V's. And so I do, I'll just kind of flash forward to kind of what I do now. So I work really in the spiritual realm full time. I live in the spiritual realm full time for sure. And so I channel a collective called The Guides, capital T, capital G. And they're a collective of angels, ascended masters, extraterrestrials, interterrestrials, trees, nature spirits, great teachers, master teachers, planetary energies. It really depends on who I'm working with, who is part of the guides. But kind of the core of the guides, and Melchizedek, I should definitely mention Melchizedek. The core of the guides is Melchizedek, Metatron, and angels and ascended masters. And then others come in as necessary for the people that I work with. And so, I work with individuals, couples, groups, even businesses to provide higher dimensional insights, that kind of thing. I've become a Reiki master, so I do Reiki, but I also practice a number of other healing modalities, including Enochian healing, angelic healing, frequency healing, sound healing, and more. And, do things like space clearing for people. I work with animals, both small and large, horses, livestock, with animal communication and energetic healing. And I also work with select businesses and enterprises that are real forward-thinking enterprises with what I call spirit-led enterprise advisory. And that's where I use some of the stuff that I learned before in marketing, but really kind of take guidance from the higher realms and from the individual's higher self and provide it for them so they can take that and decide what they want to do with it. So, that's kind of what I do now. Let me kind of go back a little bit and say that, I left the marketing world, and then the guides told me to move to Sedona, Arizona. So all that previously happened in Orlando, Florida. And so I moved to Sedona, Arizona for about a year. And that's when I learned that I was indeed a walk-in. And when they kind of gave me that information, I was like, okay, this makes sense because just because of all those kind of like high vibrational downloads that I got, that kind of like, what did someone say? The time release merge, it totally made sense. And the fact that my life is kind of like I'm a remote controlled car, remote controlled vehicle, um, which is a common understanding, I believe, in the walk-in universe. It just totally made sense. And I was like, okay, thank you. Thank you for helping me understand what is going on and what has gone on. Because even, when I started channeling for people, they would say, well, why you? How did this happen to you? And at first I would say, I don't know. I really don't know. I just know that it happened very fast, very intensely, and very deeply and wide. I mean, the expansiveness that I've gone through, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this, the expansiveness that I have gone through and continue to go through is, to me at least, extraordinary, which I'm really grateful for it. I was talking to a good friend this morning, Simon. Some of you may know Eldora and Simon. If you don't know them, they're good friends of mine. They're great people to check out. They have a beautiful YouTube channel. I think it's called Eldora and Simon, Siman. And Simon is a walk-in too. And he and I had a conversation this morning, and we were chatting. And his walk-in is very similar to mine. So let me explain a little bit about my walk-in, and it also will explain his walk-in. But he was saying, my life is so magical now. He's like, the average person may think, yeah, I don't want someone to kind of run my life. I want to run my own life. I'm in charge of my own life. And something like a walk-in would sound horrible to many people. But Simon was saying, my life is magical. Everything that happens is magic. And I'm drawn, the right people are drawn to me at the right time. I'm guided to the right place. The synergies in my life are amazing. It's just magical. And so I agree with that. I really see my life as magic. And I say, I have this saying that I live a life of awe, wonder, magic, and miracles. And so I am grateful for that. There is sacrifice that comes with it, for sure. It's a different life, as many of you know, but it sure is magical. So the consciousness that is me. So let's go to the walk-in. So what walked in, as I have been taught, is what they call a compound or a composite consciousness. Composite consciousness, and it's kind of like, if you're familiar with aircraft bodies, airplanes, Airbus, Boeing, Bombardier, etc., is that the shell of the aircraft, the body, the fuselage, is made of a composite material. And it's many different materials laid end over end that create something really, really strong. And so what I'm told is that I have a composite consciousness that is me. So that composite consciousness is made up of, thank you for the kind comments, Tracy, appreciate that. Is made up of largely angels and ascended masters, but also I understand it does change in composition from time to time. And an example would be, early on, I felt Archangel Michael very, very strong. Like Archangel Michael was me. And sometimes I feel that it's kind of like the group consciousness that is me. And then recently I've been feeling Archangel Raphael very strongly as me. So it's like the consciousnesses are all there, but they play different roles at different times, and they kind of change the composition of the consciousness, which keeps things interesting. My life really changes dramatically on a regular basis, day by day. I was in Sedona for about a year, just doing some wonderful work there, learning more about me. I would say probably the first thing that I did in Sedona was really mostly learning about me and growing and expanding the understanding of what's going on. And then also working with Sedona, people in Sedona, to help, as the guides have channeled through me, give them a template for what Sedona should be. The guides have said that Sedona is the most powerful light station on Earth. And thank you, Susie. That Sedona is the most powerful light station on Earth. And they liken it to Epcot at Disney World, which Epcot stands for the Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. And that's really what the guides have tried to give to Sedona, is to get the members of that community to think about that they have such a great opportunity to create this prototype, this futuristic city, this fifth dimensional city that can be tested and tried and perfected, so that other cities, other communities can take that example and use it in their own communities. Some of the things they talked about for Sedona are free energy, of course, which already exists. It just needs to be implemented. Pyramid power, taking the food power away from grocery stores and industries and putting it back into community gardens, and also free housing, things like geodesic housing, things like that. And so those are kind of like 4 pillars that they gave Sedona. And so, it was a great honor to serve that community, a great honor to be served by that community, and to allow me to grow in the ways that I have. And then the guides came to me a few months ago and said, you got to go back to Orlando. We got stuff for you to do there. And so I said, okay. They said, you got to move right around the first of the year. And so I said, okay. And so I just moved about a week ago back to Orlando. And so I continued to do the Wave Foundation work for sure. But they also have me working at Walt Disney World. And these are energetic light code workings at Walt Disney World. And, the way I see Disney parks, this is the way I've been taught to see them, is that people come to these Disney parks open-hearted. I get very emotional about this work because I see the importance of it. I see the power of it. People come to Disney, and some people don't like Disney, and that's fine. And I don't get involved in those conversations. I fly higher than those conversations about those who think other of Disney. Is that people come from around the world, everywhere, all around the world, to Disney parks. One moment, almost there. And they come in a state of open-heartedness and ready to receive. They come in receptivity. And so it's the perfect place to bring in high vibrational energies, to plant, to heal their hearts, for sure. People come to Disney parks, and those of you that haven't gone maybe don't understand this. They come ready for the magic. That's one of the key phrases of Disney, is the magic. And they come to have fun. They come to leave the world, leave the they come to leave the third dimension. Let's put it that way. They come to leave the third dimension to go somewhere else where they can leave all the cares and crap of the world behind and go to a place of really what can be higher dimensional learning. And so, so one of my jobs is go there. And I bought an annual pass and I go there all the time now. And the guides guide me around like a remote controlled car, have me go to different places in the park, say different things, do different things. They have me, this may sound a little bit weird, but they have me follow certain people and say blessings over them, say certain things over them. And I think these people are important people that when they go back to their country, wherever they come from, that they're multipliers, that it lifts their frequency. So when they go back, it lifts other people's frequency. So in a way, you've got this contained cauldron, let's say, in Disney parks, where millions of people come to from all over the place, and that if they can, we can raise the frequency enough and implant light codes that they then take that all back to where they are. It's almost like, it's very efficient. It's a very efficient way to change a lot of people in a lot of places all at once. So I go to Disney parks almost daily, and I'm guided. They have me do certain things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's a big part of what I do now in this new Orlando life. And it is a great honor to do that. So, I think that brings me to another point, is that for me, I see this walk-in concept, this walk-in life, as a great honor. It's a great responsibility, and much is required of those who have great, those who have great gifts have great responsibilities. And so I see it as a tremendous gift. One of the things that the guides taught me to say every day is, I am gifted. I love the gifts. I rejoice in the gifts. I ask for the gifts. I receive the gifts. I use the gifts. I share the gifts. I rejoice in the gifts, and I am gifted. And so, I would say my encouragement for other walk-ins is to see it as a gift, see it as an honor, see it as an opportunity to be agents of change. And the guides talk about again, remember I talked early on in the conversation about pelting the earth with higher vibrational beings. The guides give this analogy, which I think is kind of clever, is imagine that you are in a wartime situation. Is you want to drop behind enemy lines like your SEAL team. You're really highly trained, highly tuned in people to really make some dramatic, effective change behind enemy lines. And so, so the guides talk about how walk-ins are kind of like that. We're dropping in these very special teams of very special individuals. And of course, the individual is a personality structure, it's a vessel, but that individual allows the higher beings, the walk-in, to live through it. And through that symbiotic relationship, and that's a word that I use a lot about this, is it's a symbiotic relationship. I call myself sometimes a symbiote, which is a being that is symbiotic with something else. And so, we have the honor and the privilege to be agents of change and to see things, to be a catalyst for evolution. And that's what the human kingdom, the earth plane, Mother Gaia, and all of its inhabitants beyond humans. Remember, humans are just a part of the inhabitants of Earth. The ethers are full of beings. The Earth is full of beings. The sea is full of beings. Different dimensional understandings in the Earth environment, full of beings. And so we as walk-ins are affecting not just humanity and not just the societies in which we live in. We're affecting, well, of course, everything that we do affects everything on a universal existence level. So I think that we're in a very fascinating role that allows evolution to happen faster and quicker. And that's one of the things the guides talk about, is that this work that walk-ins do, it's to accelerate evolution. And so, and the guides really do talk about this a lot. They're kind of like, come on, let's go. We gotta move this along. And I don't know how others who are walk-ins experience this, but I really get many times a sense of urgency. Like, you can't take a nap, or you can't sit down. You got to go. You got stuff you got to do. So there is this quickening of evolution that's happening right now. So I know I haven't gone the full hour, but I think that's kind of where I am right now. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
Well, I just have a few things. First of all, it's beautiful when you drop into that emotional feeling. And what comes up for you when you're tapping into this work and your heart's opening?
You mean like when I'm talking about it?
Yeah, and then you kind of get emotional.
It's like this overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's like, I can't control it. It comes from the heart. It's just like this overwhelming flow of love, unconditional love, and that's really where I come from, and that's what my work is based on. So I guess the best way I could say it, it's a flow of love that is manifested through an emotional response.
For humanity, though, it's beautiful.
For humanity, yeah. There's no doubt about it. I think all other walk-ins were in service. We're in service to existence, humanity specifically. But here's a fun story. So I've tried to have animals a few times in my life. I've passed pets, and I love animals. I work with animals, but I've tried to have dogs or cats as pets, and it's never worked out for different reasons. And recently the guides came to me after one of my recent tries, and they said, "Listen, you're here for humans. You got to take care of humans, not animals. Don't do any more animals, please." So it really is a human thing, and my viewpoint on humans has changed in the relatively short period of time. I began to have, when I first started, I began to have just this pain for humans. Some might say a burden, but I don't have that anymore. I do have sometimes the pain for them, not the burden, because I don't carry the burden for them. I do the work that I do, and that helps them, but it's not my responsibility to carry the burden for humanity. Right. But now I just see people where they are, and everyone is where they are on their own evolutionary path, and I respect that, and I love that. And one thing that the guides say all the time is everyone's always doing the best that they can. Right. Everyone's always doing the best that they can. And so I respect everybody where they are. And just know that the work that I do lifts them in frequency and amplitude and vibration, which then trickles down into affects how they live their life, how they behave, how they interact with others, etc.
Well, you have another 15 minutes. It'd be great to hear you channel your guides, and if there was a message for this particular audience, if you feel like that, bringing through something and
Yeah.
kind of do activation, upliftment, transmission, or whatever comes to you.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I'm checking with the guides and see. Yeah, they're they're saying, well, we love Alan. We'll come
Oh,
through definitely for Alan. So,
thank you guys. Thank you guys.
all right. I'm just going to say a prayer of protection, and then they're going to come in. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the Spirit of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. God is. God is. Should be. So we are here with you now. These are the guides. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. We know all of you intimately and individually, and we tell each and every one of you that you are chosen. Now, some of you may say, oh, I don't know if I like that word or not. Let's try another word, anointed. Some of you may say, ooh, I may not like that word. Both of those words really work from our perspective. You are chosen and have been chosen to do work that is in service of existence. You are grand and miraculous spaceships that carry with you high vibrational beings manifest in form. And a way for you to understand yourself is, now listen, with a walk-in, you are completely changed. You're completely changed from the cellular level, the DNA level, the way your blood works, the way your system works, the way your mind works. You're a different being in totality. You are a high-dimensional being manifest in form, just like Buddha was, just like Yeshua was. And what's happening now is the life before you said, is that humanity is in requirement of these high vibrational beings to be manifest in form in order to lift it at the appropriate volumetric level in order to reach the goals that we have for it. Now listen to this. And we can talk about it as we, because we, ascended masters, angels, Melchizedek is here, Metatron is here. We are all the architects and planners of evolution on the earth plane, and actually in the existence that you are in right now. So our game plan for evolution requires certain goalposts, certain measurements of successes in order to reach the goals that we have for this game that is being played out. Most of you realize that you are in a game. This is a game that you're playing in. This is a game that you are playing through. You are all characters in the game. And so imagine that to us, you all are our favorite players in the game. So you could say anointed, chosen, and then also our favorite players in the game. You are favored among your human kingdom. We tell you all these things to motivate you and to build you up, because what we need, what we require out of all of these high vibrational beings manifest in form, which is what you as walk-ins are, period, full stop, that's what's happening, is that we need you to be at full functioning abilities. We need you in joy, in honor, in respect of all things, and in receptivity of what needs to be done in you and through you. For you are truly our key Navy SEAL teams that the life before you has said. You are the ones who are the activators and the generators of high frequential light that really changes the game. Another way to look at yourselves, you are game changers. You are game changers. So our key message to you is be fully you as the new high dimensional being that you are. When doubt comes in, laugh at it. Just know that you are in alignment with what is supposed to be done in you and through you. Are there some of you that experience doubt when it comes to your walk-in experience and the guidance? We think so. We know so. And doubt can be a healthy way to really understand that which is true in you and true for you. The most important thing is to live in truth. to say, I see all things with the eyes of truth. I am in truth. I am as truth. I am truth. I live in the frequency of truth. When others who you might talk to about this walk-in experience hear this concept, they might think you're crazy. It's pretty far out for the commoner to believe. What we would ask you to do, and listen to this, all of you, this is a call to action, is start to talk to people, even people that you think it might push the limits a little bit of your friendship or relationship with. Start to talk to people about what a walk-in is, what you are, what you're doing, and what is happening for you as a walk-in. Because as this conference is so beautifully a kickoff for the expansion of awareness of what walk-ins are in your societies and communities, you each are encouraged, as you're so led, to start to share the gospel, the good news of walk-ins with others. Now, you might say, well, what good does this do? It does a lot of good, because it's getting people open to the idea, one, that there are higher dimensions, two, that the higher dimensions are actively involved with the dimension in which you live in right now, and number three, to know that the higher dimensions seek to support evolution, and that they, your friends, can invite higher dimensional beings like angels. Angels is a good place to start, into their lives. For example, you can tell people, listen, start with Archangel Michael. Everybody kind of knows Michael. They don't really know necessarily what angels are, although they are some of the most powerful beings in the universe, to be very clear, is that they can say, Archangel Michael, I welcome you and I invite you into my life. I help guide me along my path, illuminate life's path for me. Work with me, Archangel Michael. Angels are looking for happy collaboration with humans now more than ever. And we mean that, we underline that, now more than ever. Angels are seeking to work with humans. And so if you can get your friends, your family members to kind of understand what a walk-in is a little bit and say, listen, yeah, these things exist. They're powerful, they're life-changing. Start with an angel, invite it into your life, see what happens. More and more people are getting open to these ideas. And so you, as catalysts of change, can be that way with others. What we see is in 5 years' time, walk-ins will be a known concept or a known word in approximately 50% of the society in which you live in. That's a lot of people. 50% in 5 years. This will be a certain number of people that may not ever get it. But the more that this walk-in concept can be shared and educated about people, the better off humanity is. We're actually going to stop right there. We have nothing else to say to you except we love you, we encourage you, we honor you, we bless you. Walk-ins, be true to yourself, be true to the consciousness that is you. If you have doubt, laugh at it. Stay in alignment to your walk-in consciousness and allow that being or beings to work through you, to live through you, to move through you, to talk through you. For you really are much more than just a remote control car. You are a symbiotic being that is truly all of those things which are your walk-in consciousnesses, could be angels, ascended masters, galactics, extraterrestrials, whatever it may be, that is truly who you are. Let there be no question about that. That is truly who you are. So you're really not human. To be very clear, you're not human. You are an angelic. You are an ascended master. You are an extraterrestrial. Get comfortable with that idea. You only wear the faceplate, the costume of a human to get you through everyday life. But that's not really who you truly are. The true self is the higher self, and the higher self is your walk-in, and that's who you really are. We bless you. We thank you for allowing us to be able to chat with you for a few moments today. We love you, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for letting that come through and seeing the future of a conference like this. Sheila, do you have anything to say?
Well, I am absolutely thrilled because, as you know, one of my passions is to have the concept of walk-ins normalized because a lot of people look at walk-ins, they don't understand the walk-in, and unless they are already spiritually awake, they do begin to think, gosh, that's a possession or, a body snatcher kind of scenario, which according to my collective has told me that we have all of these agreements in place prior to coming in so that this vessel serves as that conduit to allow the walk-in energy to come in. And so, Jason, I love to listen to you. I loved your message today. It was very heartwarming, very passionate, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. I'm really honored. Infinite love and blessings to everybody listening to and watching this. Sheila, I love you. Alan, I love you. And really, thank you for having me on.
Will you join us for the panel later today?
I'm going to try to. I will hopefully be there, yes.
Because I really appreciate your perspective and your vulnerability and openness in sharing your process. And I think it makes it easier for other people to share. So thanks, Jason. Good luck in Orlando. I mean, not luck, but continued work. And
Thank you.
I think it was probably a good move. I was surprised you moved from Sedona, but there you go.
There you go. Well put. I was surprised too, but you follow, as everybody knows, listening to this, you follow the guidance, right? So, all right. Well, thank you all. We'll hopefully see you a little bit later on today.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.